Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. We got to do this. We don't have a choice. We got to do this. We got to watch it. Let's see if we can ring in a modest $1,600 Ethereum. So we were able to ring in a $1,500 Ethereum yesterday. What about $1,600 Ethereum? So we'll tune in and see if we can usher in a $1,600 Ethereum. All right, so here we are again. Here we are again. Trying to usher in a $1,600 Ethereum. It ain't much, but it's honest work. So let's see if we can do it. So we're getting close. We're already at 1588. We said yesterday that once we get above 1500, things can start flying relatively quickly. Make no mistake about it. Make no mistake about it. We are heading into a very, very risky time. Okay? We still could have a long way to go. This could go on for weeks. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful. Because we know, any crypto veteran, anyone who's been in the crypto space for a long time will tell you we've seen these types of moves before. They'll go higher than you probably ever could have imagined in a lot of cases. At least realistically, of course, some people will say, "Oh, well, if I imagine it going to 50K, are you saying it can't go to 50K?" Of course not. I'm saying it won't go to 50K in the short term. But the point is to say, well, if you look at it in terms of your portfolio evaluation, sometimes it can be hard to comprehend. And we talked about this back in last year, where and when it's like the prices are really low, and it's like the train's leaving the station whether you want to be on the train or not. So what I've seen is it can go higher than you might otherwise expect, and then it can get to the point where you look at the price and you keep thinking you're hitting the top, but you're not, and then it gets to the point at some point where we reach the new paradigm where everyone's like, okay, now the world finally sees the value, the true value of Ethereum, and then people start thinking it can't go down, and that that is a dangerous spot to be in. So January, Ethuary started the torch of the Ethereum Bitcoin momentum shift. February is carrying the torch because Bitcoin remains well above its 20-week moving average. And this is exactly what we showed the other day. If Bitcoin remains above its 20-week moving average, there's a decent chance that Ethereum will continue to gain on Bitcoin. Again, we don't care that Ethereum's going up in USD. Well, maybe you do. But we're better than that, right? We're better than that. And the reason we're better than that is because, as we've always said, you're paying this theoretical return. I mean, obviously, it's just on paper unless you took profits. This return that you're watching just skyrocket right now, 1594, 1593, you paid for that with the units of risk that you took on. Okay, so you paid for it. You were not lucky. We said this all along. There's no luck involved at all. And because there's no luck involved at all, you paid for this. So it's good that it's performing well against USD. But at the end of the day, that's irrelevant. What's more important is it's doing well against Bitcoin. You can see this weekly candle has turned right back around. We're right back at the top of where we opened or closed this one and opened this one. We're right back up there. We got to go back to the USD chart though, because we are approaching 1600. You can see, in fact, on Bitfinex it's at 1598, a modest 1598. So this is something that we need to keep an eye on. Again, as I said before, it can go higher than a lot of people can imagine. but then it can come crashing down more than people can imagine too. But it's hard to know, right? It's hard to know if, the idea is if it crashes now, then yeah, like it could go back down to $700-800 or something. But what if it goes up? What if it goes up 2x before crashing? Then a $1,500 Ethereum could be a future crash, right? So you have to think about it like that too. Like, what if the crash is still a month away, and by the time it does crash, it's already at twice the current value. So then when it crashes back down, maybe it crashes back down to a price as we're looking at today, and then in a month from now, maybe a $1,500 Ethereum will be bearish according to most people's accounts of the market. So what I would say is, again, I'm not purchasing Ethereum at these prices. I'm more than happy to just let my stack ride. I'll let the other people drive the price up. But the nice thing about not purchasing it here is that, who cares if it drops back down for a brief period of time. A lot of people believe in the long-term momentum Ethereum has, the idea that it's one market cycle behind Bitcoin in terms of its volatility and therefore its expected return. So it's just business as usual, right? This is just business as usual. It becomes much easier to stomach drops when your cost basis on Ethereum is several $100s, right? When it's several $100s, it's so much easier to stomach any type of short-term drops to the downside. But one of the things we need to remind you is that, again, remember when Bitcoin got above its prior all-time high, it fairly quickly put in a 2x. Okay, it fairly quickly put in a 2x. And the one thing I don't want this to somewhat become is just, let's just throw out random BS numbers, and as long as the momentum carries us, then they'll keep proving to be true again, time and time again, right? I put out a tweet about this yesterday. I was like, but I did it in reference to Bitcoin. It's like, Head and Shoulders is for shampoo, Cup and Handle is for coffee, momentum is for Bitcoin. I don't really concern myself with these other, short-term patterns that people like to draw on the charts. As far as I'm concerned, they're just as important as our little house patterns that we drew yesterday. Okay, they basically carry as much weight in my opinion. Of course, I'm sure a lot of people disagree. But with that said, because I don't think that these things necessarily carry that much weight, the idea of reverse head and shoulders, knees and toes, you know what I'm talking about. This stuff is, I don't really think it carries that much weight, and so people are looking for patterns. What's more important is momentum. And this, my friends, is momentum. This is momentum. It does not matter. It does not matter so much what our little hourly candles can sometimes look like. This is a parabolic move. This is momentum. It does not care about short-term technical patterns at all, in my opinion. And so that's just something to keep in mind. This is momentum. This is something that can often be taken to the bank, is momentum. And the hard part is knowing when the momentum stops, because when it does stop and the music stops, then the momentum can take a hard turn. Now, this is a good example of something we spoke about a month ago. One of the common questions I constantly would get, starting from when Ethereum was $500, $600, $700, every single week, I was getting people saying this, and I'm sure some of you have probably or thought this. They're like, well, why would I buy Ethereum if Bitcoin's about to crash? That was what they would always say. Like, should I not wait for Bitcoin to crash before buying Ethereum? Well, the problem is if you had said this in January when Ethereum was $700, Bitcoin did not get to its peak until 42K on January 8th or so. Or somewhere around that. It was like January 8th, I think. January 6th, 7th. I think it was the 8th. So Bitcoin did not get to its all-time high till a week later. And if you had waited for Bitcoin to crash before DCAing into Ethereum at that time, you would have missed out on the move from like $700 to $1,100. Because remember, Ethereum can make these 30% gains in a day or two sometimes. And then maybe it corrects back down, but it's correcting back down to a price much higher than what you were theoretically waiting for. So you have to be careful when you take on this mentality of, I don't want to purchase Ethereum at $700 because I think Bitcoin's going to crash and I need to wait for Bitcoin to crash first. Well, we saw what happened. Bitcoin did come back down and have like a 30% correction, but by that point Ethereum was already at like $1,100 after its correction or so. So this is just something to keep in mind, is that it's not always about when Bitcoin crashes. It's about what does Ethereum do in the time period between when you think Bitcoin's going to crash and when Bitcoin actually does crash. Because by the time it actually has that correction, the price of Ethereum could already be 50% higher. So that's just something to keep in mind. All right, enough blabbering. Ethereum's at 1596. At Bitfinex it's 1597. So we'll bring in a $1,600 Ethereum. Remember yesterday we brought in a $1,500 Ethereum. It took us a few attempts. So it might take us a few attempts. It might not. But we're sure as hell going to find out. So we said things will get moving quickly once we break 1500, and now the next day, not even 24 hours later, here we are knocking on the $1,600 door. Okay, here we are. Ethereum is continuing to trend upwards. So let's see ultimately how high this can go. Obviously, 1500 is nice, 1600 is better. We'll see what happens. Remember to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and give the video a thumbs up. We only have 142 likes and 1,452 viewers, so make sure you hit the like button. Let's push Ethereum over 1,600, and then maybe we'll watch it go to 1,700 if we're lucky. We're closing in. We're at 1,597. And look at Bitfinex. It was 1,599. 1,599.40 on Bitfinex. Let's actually go over to Bitfinex, and then we'll switch over to Coinbase after Bitfinex gets to 1,600, and then we can switch back to Coinbase because Coinbase will lag behind most likely. So let's look at Bitfinex first. That way we can properly usher in a $1,600 Ethereum. Then we'll go over to Coinbase, which will probably lag behind Bitfinex, and you might even see Bitfinex trading at 1601, 1602. But Coinbase still below 1,600, and until Coinbase breaks above 1,600, then Bitfinex will not go anywhere much above 1,600. So this is what we want to keep an eye on. By the way, you guys know my main five that I talk about on the public channel: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Link, ADA, and DOT. They're all doing well. Bitcoin's at 36.9, Ethereum's at 15.96, Link 25, a modest $25, 1/4 of 100, ADA 43 cents, DOT 19.30. Hopefully DOT, in terms of its volatility against Bitcoin, is one market cycle behind Ethereum. It's already up. It's already up like 6x in a few weeks. This is one I really think we need to keep an eye on, because we've talked about it before. We identified the accumulation range fairly well. We said $3 to $6, accumulate. Now it's at 1933. We'll see where it goes, because it has looked so far. Again, this is not financial advice, and the pattern could change. So far, DOT's valuation against Bitcoin looks eerily similar to Ethereum's valuation against Bitcoin at launch. The only difference, so far, the main difference in DOT's valuation against Bitcoin in 2020 and 2021 versus Ethereum's valuation against Bitcoin in 2015 and 2016 at launch, the main difference, DOT has slightly diminished volatility. But we expect this, right? This isn't news, right? I mean, who cares? I mean, this is not new. This just in. Diminishing returns, right? This is obvious. This was in the data all along. So that's the main difference we've seen so far with regards to the DOT Bitcoin valuation as you compare it to the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation. By the way, you could also say something similar about the Uni Bitcoin valuation. Honestly, you could. So we're seeing a lot of similarities. The idea is Ethereum is one market cycle behind Bitcoin in terms of volatility. Hopefully the other idea is that other coins we follow, like Uniswap, DOT, Link, maybe they're one market cycle behind Ethereum. But again, I don't expect any of those to necessarily put in returns on par with Ethereum as measured from, say, August of 2020. I don't expect that, because again, diminishing returns. And you might say, well, hold up a minute, but this doesn't make sense, right? Like, why should Ethereum experience some massive ROI that then DOT can't experience? Well, you have to consider that the market has matured. When Ethereum went up like 1500x or whatever the hell it did last time exactly, the market capitalization of Ethereum was in the low millions. Like, it wasn't even close to $1 billion at the time. Dot's market capitalization is already well over $1 billion, right? If we just take a look here, Dot is already at a modest 17.5 billion. So it's already like orders of magnitude, like 2 or 3 orders of magnitude. Its market cap is already 2 or 3 orders of magnitude more than Ethereum's was back in 2015 and 2016. So we know that it simply takes more volume to move markets with higher market capitalization. So in order for DOT to experience, say, the same level of return that Ethereum did, it would need to go to, just some back of the envelope math, like it would need to go up at least maybe 3 orders of magnitude from the bottom. And let's suppose the bottom were around, let's say, divided by, let's say around 3 billion. So we need to go to 3,300. So it would need to go like $3 trillion market capitalization, which is almost surely not happening this market cycle by any means. I don't even think Bitcoin will make it to a $3 trillion market capitalization this market cycle, but it's the only one that realistically, in my opinion, which is a non-financial advice opinion, Bitcoin's the only one that realistically has a chance to make it to a $3 trillion market capitalization this market cycle. There's no way in hell DOT is, for the most likely. So you have to consider that it's not that it's not fair, it's just that the market as a whole is more mature and people recognize the value. Therefore, the market cap is much higher than Ethereum's was 5 years ago. So it's going to take a lot more volume to move it. So this is the point I want to say about diminishing returns. It's not that it's not fair, it's just that people recognize the value more so than they did 5 years ago. Therefore, the ROI as measured from market cycle bottom will ultimately be less because it takes exponentially more volume to move up the curve. So if you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up, and let's go for 106,000 subscribers, right? What's a few thousand subscribers among friends? Let's go for 110,000 subscribers. Anyways, we'll see if we can usher in a $1,600 Ethereum for the first time. $1,600. By the way, for my friends who suffer from short-term memory loss, who like to tell me that Ethereum, one guy on Twitter the other day told me that Ethereum's only up 30% since the end of December, and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, it was $730 on January 1st, and as far as I can tell, and maybe my undergraduate degree in math is not doing me justice, but as far as I can tell, 730 to even 1400 is more than 30%, and now which is when he made the comment. And now we're flirting with a $1,600 Ethereum. So Ethereum, for those who say that large market cap coins can't do 100% in a short period of time, take that up with Ethereum. For those who said that large market cap coins can't go up, 15x, 10x in a year, take it up with Ethereum. Ethereum, in March, 11 months ago, was less than $100. It was less than $100 11 months ago. If we take a measured move from the bottom, which we like to do, let's see what the return is. All the way at the bottom of the wick to where we currently are, a modest 1,700%. Modest 1,700%. This, by the way, 1,700% is 18x. Again, just a friendly reminder that if 100% is 2x, then 1,000% is not 10x, it's 11x. Therefore, 1,700% is 18x. So Ethereum has put in an 18x in 11 months. Sometimes, as we said, opportunity cost. If you go gamble on random garbage altcoins that are, you threw a dart at a board and tried to pick one that had a cool name, maybe it did well, but even if it did do well, you have to say, okay, did it perform better than Ethereum? Did it do better than 14x? And a lot of the coins we follow have. I mean, ADA is up, what, 22x? 22x or so? Link is up, it was less than $2. in March, right? It was $1 something. So I mean, it's coming in hot too. It's doing well too. Obviously, we can't really measure it for DOT because DOT was not around, at least not trading on the open exchanges in March. But since it launched, it's outperforming Ethereum. This is the reason I've said so many times. It's important to identify the coin. If you're gonna gamble on other coins, if you're gonna invest in these other projects, you want to make sure, you have to make sure that they can outperform Ethereum. Okay? If they can't, and if you own a coin that it still hasn't done anything, right? And I said this a month ago. If you own a coin and your claim is that it can't be alt season, yeah, because my coin hasn't gone up 100x. Perhaps you just have a garbage coin, right? Perhaps the coin that you hold is just not worth what you think it's worth. Because if it were, how could it not have moved since March? I mean, like if it's not up since March, and it's been, if you look at its valuation from March or from April or from December, and it hasn't done anything, you have to consider what if it's a dud. We're not saying it's a dud. This is not financial advice. Maybe your coin will go up tomorrow and leave everything else in the dust. But I said the same thing a month ago, right? I said the same exact thing a month ago. If you're holding 10 different altcoins and 8 of them are just sitting humdrum at whatever valuations they were sitting at for the last 6 months, it's possible that they might just not be, maybe they didn't get invited to the party. It's possible. The reason I say this, and I say this like with all, I mean, I don't say it in any type of, mean way, right? Like I looked at this in 2013, there were a lot of coins that went parabolic. And then if you look in 2017 where we think, everyone thinks everything went parabolic, I will remind you, there were a lot of coins that went parabolic in 2013 that didn't do anything in 2017. In the same manner, there will be a lot of coins that did something amazing in 2017 and 2018, and they're not getting the invitation to this party. They're just not. And there's going to be people that sit on those coins for the entirety of the entire market cycle. They're going to watch other coins just fly by them, and they'll claim that it can't be alt season because their coin hasn't moved yet. Well, my friends, when Bitcoin dominance is dropping 11% in less than a month, 11% in less than a month, rest assured it's alt season. It might not be the end of alt season, but alt season has to start somewhere. It's like when summer starts and when summer, let's say when spring starts, and you're looking, it's like March 31st, right? Or when is it? March 21st. Am I getting this right? I think it's March 21st. When spring starts and you're looking at it and you're like, it's so cold outside. How could it be spring? Why are the flowers not blooming yet? Well, it's because there's more than one day to a season. So just because Bitcoin dominance has not dropped to some absurd value where it would most likely just be a temporary altcoin bubble does not mean we're not in alt season. Alt season can last a while, right? It can last a while. In 2017, 2018, we had an alt season that lasted a really long time. So you have to consider the possibility that alt season is not a day event, it's not a 2-day event, but when we look back, when history remembers this market cycle, and we look at moves, what are we gonna do? We're gonna look. This is exactly what we're gonna look. By the way, let's take a break. $1,600 Ethereum. It ain't much. It's honest work. We just ushered in a $1,600 Ethereum. We know that it's gonna lag behind on Coinbase. We just saw it hit on Bitfinex. Now, we want to be cautious. We want to say, well, you know what? It's good and all. It's good and all that it hit $1,600 on Bitfinex, but what's going to hold it back? And it needs to get above it on Coinbase. Otherwise, it's not going anywhere. And again, as we saw yesterday, Coinbase is likely going to lag behind in terms of its valuation. So make sure you guys subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up, but subscribe. Let's go for 100 and something, 107,000 subscribers, whatever the hell we're at. Here we are at a 1596 Ethereum. We just ushered in a $1,600 Ethereum for the first time in history. We were there. We have it on stream. When we come back to when we come back and relive this in a few years in the bear market, when we have nothing but time to reminisce on the good old days, we'll come back. We'll say, remember this? We ushered in $1,600 Ethereum for the first time. When history remembers this cycle, when history remembers it, let me go over to Kraken because it actually goes back further. So, as we said, diminishing returns. When history and decreased volatility. When history remembers this cycle, we'll look at it like this. We'll say, okay, maybe this first move here was a modest 5,000% over 252 days. We'll measure this, right? We'll just measure this. We'll say, okay, well, so far, it's a modest 1,653% or so over 336 days. Diminishing returns? Hey, it also took longer. Maybe that's something you can take to the bank. I don't know, though. So, diminished volatility. Again, here's another move. A 5,000% move over 176 days. And then a final move, 1,000% over 178. It could be that this is just our first leg. And we cool off for a while, and then maybe later on we have a second leg. Or maybe it could be that this was our first leg, and then this was our cool off period, and then we had a second leg here. And they were both approximately, this was 400% so far, this one's at 324%. So we got to look at all the possibilities. We don't want to leave any stone unturned and pretend like, we know exactly what the market is going to bring for us. Let's go ahead and overlay our regression rainbow and see, because we've moved into the orange band now. This is one of the things we were talking about yesterday. So Ethereum, as we've showed before, again, at the end of the day, these log lines are completely worthless. We just use them to try to understand where we might be within the market cycle. And the idea that, we're probably not going to make it up to this upper regression band again, just because we've seen for Bitcoin that, the likelihood of ever making it to the upper regression bands again are very low, as we've showed many times, right? If you overlay the regression rainbow for Bitcoin, you can see over the macro scale, we don't go up to the prior log line, right? This one, then we dropped here, and then we dropped again. So we typically are not able to make it up to the prior one. Therefore, in the same way, they're not exactly the same, obviously, but in the same manner, we would not expect Ethereum to make it up to that log line. Just to be pragmatic, right? Just to be a little bit pragmatic. If it makes it there, great, but I don't think it will. But again, these are monotonically increasing functions, so time is on our side. We have moved into the yellow or the orange one. So if we look at, we've hesitated again at these levels before. We hesitated at yellow before going into orange. We hesitated at yellow for going into orange. Here, again, we hesitated around the yellow one before starting to move into the orange one. It looks like on Bitfinex, it's 1602. Let us go over to, let's have one up for Coinbase so we can actually see it. Because if it breaks on Coinbase, then things will get moving quickly, most likely. All right, so we got to zoom in to a minute chart. We're at 1598. $1598.64, 1599. Does anyone want to pull up the order book? How's the order book looking? Let's take a look at Ether Bitcoin. It's looking good. We still haven't really moved above our local top, so we still have a ways to go. It looks like Ethereum is still around 1,600 on Bitfinex. It's still slightly lagging behind on Coinbase, but remember, we said this is likely going to happen. Bitfinex will hit 1,600. It might even go to 1,601, 1,602 until you see it on Coinbase at 1,600 and go to 1,601. It's likely not going anywhere. So we want to see Coinbase get to 1,600, let the piranhas eat the wall, and then we can move. How's everyone doing today? Hopefully everyone's doing okay. By the way, we should at least pay some level of attention to Bitcoin because it is approaching 37K. Again, as long as we stay well below our prior all-time high, it stands that a lot of altcoins can move. If Bitcoin gets too volatile to the upside, the rest of the market's going to calm down. It looks like here we are, Coinbase 1,600. So the piranhas are eating the wall. If they can break through it, we might start moving relatively quickly. So they're eating it right now. I'm sure, I mean, they're eating it. All right. Let them go. There it goes. 1601. All right, so Bitfinex is now at 1604. We'll see if it can go above it. At least the temporary wall at 1600 has been broken through. Ether is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin actually it actually went down. Bitcoin went down during that because it was at 36,950 and it dropped $50 while Ethereum was eating that wall. That's pretty interesting. So yeah, I mean we'll see here. I mean, so we already ate through a decent wall, I'm sure. Now 1600 is not that much of a challenge. So now we're moving 1602. I mean, a $1,600 Ethereum is nice, right? Obviously, a $1,600 Ethereum is nice, but it does make me wonder, what would a $1,700 Ethereum feel like? You know, so hopefully we can experience what a $1,700 Ethereum would feel like, because ultimately, you know, now that we know what $1,600 Ethereum feels like, we're, you know, what does it feel? What is 1,700? We've never experienced a $1,700 Ethereum. My guess is that it feels better than a $1,600 Ethereum, but I don't know because I've never experienced it. So hopefully we can experience it together. Let's take a quick look at, so Bitcoin is actually approaching 37. It looks like we should keep an eye on this because it's at 36,988. The rest of the altcoin market is not really doing a whole lot. Link's at 25.5. ADA is still at 43 cents. DOT's at 1950. And you can see Bitcoin's above 37K. So as long as Bitcoin volatility remains high, I don't expect a lot of altcoins to do much of anything. They might get dragged up by Bitcoin, but they're likely going to not do so well in terms of their Bitcoin valuation. That's just something to keep in mind. If we switch back over to Coinbase, we can see Ethereum's now at 1607 and climbing. 1607, 1608. Another day, another $100. Another $100. I guess we made it to the beach house. I think I deleted our really nice drawings yesterday. Yeah, I guess I deleted the drawings, the house drawings, so sorry about that. Our house TA. Make sure you guys subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. It looks like I need to turn slow mode on. Some people like to spam the chat. Don't worry, they're gone anyways. Yeah, we can build a new house here in a minute. Well, maybe we'll build a new house. It looks like we have temporarily dropped below 16. Yeah, we can do some more houses. By the way, remember we do have, as I mentioned yesterday, we do have a alt season sale on the premium list. So if you've been waiting to join that, now would be the time to join it. So I'll post it in the comments. You can also find it in the description below. You get access to the weekly premium reports, the weekly premium videos, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, the risk dashboard, which is what I use to trade. If you're curious, well, how does Ben manage these markets? Premium only live streams, and a few more things. So make sure you guys check it out. Find the link to the sale in the description below. Again, we don't do any paid promotions here, no affiliate marketing. That's the only thing I'm doing right now. So check it out. Also, remember that we do have a Telegram channel with over 14,000 people. If you guys want to take the party to the chat room on Telegram, I'll post that in the comments as well. Hey, if you joined it, you gotta check your promotions tab or your spam. So it likes to send it to promotions tab. So that's where it usually goes. So if you don't see the other email, check it out there. Otherwise, just reach out to me through the website. Yeah, we've looked at ROI from top to top before. We mainly looked at it for Bitcoin, and actually, you know, it's not a bad idea. Like, why don't we just do it on stream and see what it is, right? Let's just do it. Just do the work. So let's do it. So let's suppose that Ethereum's one market cycle behind Bitcoin. Well, I guess we can't do that because we don't really know where the Bitcoin peak is, right? We don't know where the Bitcoin peak is this cycle. But let's just suppose that the peak, should we draw a house? Maybe we should draw a house. I mean, it's going up to 1620. Let's draw a house. We need to draw we need to draw it at 1600 though, because that'll maybe be where we find support. Okay, here's 1600. So what do we want to do? What kind of house do we want to draw our beach house? Tyler, it's sent from the same email, so I would just check your promotions tab. If you didn't get it, just send me an email through the website, and we'll get it figured out. Okay, we'll draw a house. So we'll draw a house. Here's our beach house, because we made it to 1600. Might as well be a beach house. And the beach house will obviously have a pool, right? Maybe the pool will be out here. And it'll have a door, obviously, to our beach house. Of course, beach houses are on like those stilts, right? Because you gotta protect against the ocean. So your car is actually going to be like down here, right? If we can draw like a car, I don't know. So your car's down here. So this is kind of like the under 1600, right? This is where the water is, the ocean. So hopefully we don't go back there. So the purpose of drawing a house is that it's completely ridiculous, just like other forms of short-term TA. That's my point. It's that it's completely ridiculous, just like every other form of short-term TA you will see on a lot of other channels. Completely meaningless. Completely meaningless. So that's the point. That's the point of the houses. It's not to say, hey, this is something we need to look at. It's just to say everything is meaningless at these times. It's a random walk, geometric bounding in motion. Nothing more, nothing less. We cannot predict the short-term moves. We shouldn't try to. If we're gonna draw head and shoulders or cups and handles, we might as well draw a house TA. That's my opinion on these markets. It looks like Ether Bitcoin is pushing higher, which is a good thing. I would like to see it. I would like to see it come above this channel in the same way that we had a wick below. Now remember, I will say this now because people will forget. The momentum shift of Ether against Bitcoin will not last forever. It simply will not last forever. And what does history tell us? What does history tell us when it turns around? Well, we'd have to go and look, right? I mean, obviously, it depends on if Bitcoin holds the 20-week. But let's go back and look. This momentum shift of Ether against Bitcoin lasted until March 7th. March 7th is when this one lasted until. When did it how long did it last the next year? Well, it lasted until March 20th, but you could argue that this was just a buy the dip opportunity if you are of that mindset, and that it ultimately trended higher. But it didn't really have a significant shift where, I mean, by the way, this wasn't just a walk in the park. I mean, from the top here down to the bottom, it was a 41% loss against Bitcoin. So it's not like it was necessarily an easy thing to witness. But so both times that Bitcoin held the 20-week moving average for the duration of Q1, Ether trended up against Bitcoin at least until early March. Will that happen this year? It's hard to say. Obviously, it depends on if Bitcoin is able to stay well above its 20-week moving average. This time, in 2017, 2018, you can see the trend stopped in late January, but we also know what happened in late January. Bitcoin was absolutely kicking the bucket. This is late January, this capitulation. And essentially, when that happened, so late January, look at what happened late January. Bitcoin fell below the 20-week, okay? Bitcoin fell below the 20-week. So when the Ether Bitcoin valuation came crashing down in late January, it was because it fell below the 20-week. The interesting thing is that Bitcoin had already fallen a significant amount before that, but it did not stop Ethereum from trending up against Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin was falling after the week of, after December 17th or so, the price of Bitcoin was falling. But it wasn't until it broke the 20-week where Ether started to trend down against Bitcoin. It wasn't until it broke the 20-week. So that was that year. What happened the next year? So this was the next year. It actually started trending down in early January. So this is one of those where the move, this is why we measure it from the beginning of December, because some of the years the move starts in December, not January. This one was early January when it started trending down. And then last year, we started trending down in late February. So history shows that, and we should dive back into this. So what happened? What happened in late February? You guys already know the answer. You already know the answer. Late February of last year, right here. What happened? Bitcoin broke below the 20-week, right? This was the week of the 24th of February. Bitcoin went to the 20-week. The following week, it fell below, the first week of March. Last week of February to the first week of March, what did Ethereum do during that time? That was where the momentum shift started. It started on February 24th. Sorry, my 1-year-old walked in. So I'll have to take him out in a second, but it started on February 24th. So it's when it broke below the 20-week moving average. So every time we saw the momentum shift of Ethereum against Bitcoin, it was when Bitcoin broke below the 20-week. So I would hopefully anticipate that it will trend up until then. Can you say hi? Sorry. Can you say hi?
Come on, Zachary.
All right. So again, the point is every single year, every single Q1, basically, where Ethereum's valuation against Bitcoin broke, where the momentum turned back around, it was when Bitcoin failed to hold the 20-week moving average. Okay? In the bull markets, or sorry, that's not necessarily true. In the bear markets, that was when it was true, right? When Bitcoin failed to hold the 20-week moving average in the bear markets, that was when it turned around. When it was in a bull market, that's not necessarily when it turned around, because Bitcoin didn't break the 20-week. Like, for instance, here, the momentum's changed in March. What was Bitcoin doing in March? It wasn't breaking the 20-week in March, because we know that it didn't do that back then. I mean, it was above the 20-week. So in March, what was it doing? Let's see, March here, so March 7th of 2016, let's go to March 7th of 2016. It was right here. So Bitcoin was continuing to hug the 20-week moving average. But we know that, right? What have we always said? When Bitcoin is at the 20-week in a bull market, if you assume that the integrity of the bull market is going to stay intact, right, then Bitcoin is oftentimes the best coin to purchase, because whether, if we went back to this point, if Bitcoin had failed to hold this and went down, or it went up, it most likely would have outperformed most altcoins. And also just hugging it a lot of times can also outperform a lot of altcoins. So in a bull market, let's suppose, we stay in a bull market. If we see Bitcoin hugging the 20-week at some point over the next few months, there's a decent chance that the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation is bleeding at that time. So that will be a momentum shift. Okay? So I would say keep an eye out on this trend. Whenever Bitcoin decides to do a 180 and head to the 20-week, that's likely where the momentum shift will occur. Hopefully, though, hopefully the Ethereum can keep trending up against Bitcoin until that happens. Obviously, we just simply do not know exactly when that will happen. By the way, make sure you subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, hit the like button. And turn on your alerts, right? Again, we also have the Telegram channel. We'll post that in the comments if you guys want to join it. We have over 14,000 people. And another reminder, we have the alt season sale. Since the season is crazy, if you've been waiting to join the premium list, I'll post that in the comments. You can also find it in the description below. You get access to the weekly reports, the weekly premium videos, the risk dashboard, the Telegram alerts channel, the Telegram chat room, premium only live streams, and a few more things. By the way, ADA is moving. ADA is a champ. If you guys watch the channel, you guys know my opinion on ADA. 44 cents, up about over 22x since the bottom. ADA is my primary hedge against Ethereum. So this is one that we definitely want to keep an eye on. Looks like Ethereum's still around. Look at that. Look at that. Look at our house TA so far. Sorry. Maybe we can come back up through the house. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens here with Ethereum if we're gonna spend some time in the garage down here, because the garage is below the house if you're at a beach house. Exactly as predicted, right? That's the line everyone likes to use. Again, if you're new to the channel and you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, my point again is that short-term TA is garbage, and that I might as well just draw houses to show you that it really is pretty much meaningless. ADA is actually doing really well. It's actually approaching. It's at 44.5 cent now. So ADA is a champ. Let's take a look here and see where it is. ADA is okay. So well, it's not up to date fully, but we'll keep an eye on it for sure. But I'm curious, who here was picking up some Ethereum a year ago? Who was DCAing some Ethereum a year ago? Someone said he only bought 2. You have to remember, my friend, it's not about the amount. It's about the percent gain, right? It's all about the percent gain. The risk you take is a function of I mean, so it's all about the percent, right? If you keep doing it, then you can keep growing it, is the general idea. Any advice on when to get in on Ethereum, Bitcoin? You know, we covered this a lot. I mean, how many people endlessly watched me rant about the momentum shift of Ether and Bitcoin, Ether against Bitcoin in Q1? So this is what you have to, you know, this is what I don't, when you talk about it for months and then people get annoyed that you talk about it for months and then it happens, and of course you're going to get people that come in over here asking, is it too late? It's not necessarily too late, but if you're talking about the grand scheme of a market cycle, but obviously the risk at the instantaneous risk is a lot higher than it was just a month ago. Yeah, remember the end of December. Someone says his average buy-in is 170. I mean, that's a good cost basis, right? And this is basically imagine some futuristic scenario where Ethereum is even many multiples of what it is now, and you have people coming in like, who's selling? Who's selling? It's the guy that bought it $100, right? I mean, if a guy bought it $100 and can sell for 50x, 100x or something, like, it's gonna be so hard not to sell. And you can't blame them for selling either, right? They took a risk, it paid off. Now they're going to offload their bags to whatever schmuck wants to buy it up 100x in a year or 2 years or however long it ends up being. Or maybe not 100x, maybe 50x, maybe 30x, whatever it ends up being. And you rinse and repeat the cycle. And then you have new bag holders, and we continue on. Someone says he's worried we're forming a house and garage pattern. It's possible, right? I mean, we've so far we've avoided the house just like we did yesterday. I didn't realize it was going to take a nosedive to avoid it. Maybe we'll come in through the front door though. We'll see what happens. Bitcoin has come down a little, so it's back below 37K. Remember, last cycle too, I mean, I'm not saying this is the market cycle peak by any means, but we saw this last cycle too, where it had a peak, it went down, and then came back up, and then still ultimately went down. So, again, we always say this, don't schedule your Forbes interview just yet. We gotta wait, we gotta see what happens. We're not necessarily gonna trend up immediately. We need to see what transpires over the next few weeks. What I would like to see, I don't always get what I want. In fact, many times I don't get what I want. But if I were to get what I wanted, what would I want to see happen? What would I want to see happen? Well, I think personally, what I would like to see happen at this point is I would like to see, let's go to an actual useful chart. I would like to see Ethereum. I would like to see Bitcoin stay somewhat flat. That's what I would like to see. Ideally, in an ideal world where Ben gets exactly what he wants, I want Bitcoin to calm down. I want Ethereum to continue going house hunting and continue going up the curve, right? 17, 18, 19, 2000, maybe even 25. This is what I want. I would like to see the Ethereum Bitcoin valuation come up and form a bubble against Bitcoin, a short-term bubble, kind of like what we saw over here and over here, where it forms a bubble and then it comes back down. That's what I would like to see transpire over the next several weeks. And then, believe it or not, after if this were to happen, I don't know, it probably won't happen, but if it did happen, what I would then want to see is I would actually want to see Bitcoin dump down to the 20-week, wherever the hell that ends up being. That's what I would want to see. And the reason I would want to see that is because if Bitcoin volatility calms down at these levels, it's going to give a lot of the other coins we follow a major opportunity to run. And then, depending on where Bitcoin is at the time, you can convert those altcoin profits either back to USD or back to Bitcoin if you want to increase your Bitcoin exposure. And then, if Bitcoin kicks the bucket and goes back down, you either converted a lot of your altcoin profits to Bitcoin, or you converted it to fiat, and then you can buy more Bitcoin. So that would be an ideal scenario for me. For me, that'd be an ideal scenario, because then you get to take advantage of, back over here, I was mainly buying Bitcoin, as we said on the channel, right? When it's hugging the 20-week, historically speaking, it's almost assuredly best to buy Bitcoin. Obviously, you can find a few pet projects that will outperform Bitcoin, but for the most part, if it's testing the 20-week for a couple months, Bitcoin is usually your best bet, because a lot of altcoins are very hesitant. They're like, well, if Bitcoin goes below the 20-week, then we're going to be kicking the bucket and we're not going anywhere. And then if Bitcoin goes on a major run, we know that altcoins generally can't keep up, And as long as it keeps hugging the 20-week, altcoins remain too cautious. So Bitcoin can slowly trend up week over week, but because it's still near the 20-week, a lot of altcoins will remain too skeptical to do much of anything. So what I would like to see happen, but again, I don't always get what I want, is I would like to see Bitcoin just calm down, let altcoins run for a few weeks. Then you can, you can take your profits potentially, not financial advice. You do what you want to do. And then if Bitcoin comes back down, then you just load up and you rinse and repeat. And the thing is everyone assumes that if this happens, it would hold the line. It might not hold the line, right? You have to consider that it might not hold the line. What if it repeats this fractal again? What if it does this? I mean, what if this is what ultimately it does? Something like that. And then we ultimately end up remembering this market cycle not as one that systematically held the 20-week, but one that just kind of was in this, general uptrend channel that every 18 months or so put in a new major all-time high, and then maybe the next one's going to be the end of 2022 at over 6 figures. What if that's the way the market cycle is remembered, and not as one that always holds the 20-week? Okay, so you have to consider all possibilities. And the nice thing about taking profits, is that so the nice thing is if Ethereum were able to run against Bitcoin and went up to some insane valuation over the next few weeks, whether you convert it to USD or Bitcoin, if you convert it to Bitcoin and Bitcoin dumps, then it's likely that Ethereum's dumping harder because Ethereum probably went up a lot higher. So then you ultimately had more Bitcoin, and then you protect your losses by being in Bitcoin. Or you went to USD or fiat or some form of fiat or stable coins. Maybe you're earning interest on those stable coins, and then you just kind of wait until Bitcoin gets back to the 20-week. If it holds it, when it gets to that level, maybe you come back in. But then if it goes below it, then this is the bear market. And it could be a short-term bear market. It could be like this one. And that's where the real money is made. We've always said bull markets can make you money. Bear markets can make you rich. So we're not saying we're going to get this opportunity again of a bear market in the short term, but if you do get the opportunity, I certainly would not squander it. Just my own thinking. So again, we don't know what's going to happen. The other alternative, right, is if you take profits from, say, Ethereum. Imagine Ethereum's doing something manic against Bitcoin over February, and then if you take profits to Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin goes up, then you probably would feel pretty good about yourself, because not only maybe you timed the momentum shift here that we talked about for 3 months, maybe you were able to time this one as well if it comes back down to earth for a while, and we just continue along our merry way. And this devaluation of Ether Bitcoin could either come from Bitcoin just testing the 20-week or going below it, or it could also come if Bitcoin decides to go back up and go to double up, and it goes, if Bitcoin's valuation goes up another 2x or something. So that's the point, right? You have to figure out, I don't know what's going to happen in the short term, right? Let's just be honest, right? I mean, it's going to go up, down, or sideways. In 5 months, I can see I told you so, exactly as I predicted. The point is to say, if it does come up to this level, or even maybe this level, right? Depends on what your risk tolerance is and what you want to see happen, and kind of what your own financial situation is. But if it does come back up to this level, you have to decide, or maybe not that level. Let's not say that level. Like, let's just say it goes to some level where you want to take profits. You have to decide, do you want to take it to Bitcoin or do you want to take it to fiat? And if you take it to Bitcoin, you know that and it doesn't have to be an all-in or all-out approach, right? You could just DCA some of it, like I was doing over here. I mean, I basically for 2 or 3 months, there was periods where I was DCAing some Bitcoin to Ethereum in lieu of this move, as we discussed on this channel for 3 months. But the reverse could also be true, right? I mean, at some point, it might make sense to start systematically going back the other way. I'm not saying exactly what point that is. Again, if you want to know how I handle these markets, that's the premium list, which we are having a sale, again, as I mentioned. You can check it out. The website was having a little bit of difficulties earlier because there was so much traffic. So if you're unable to sign up at the website, you can also sign up on Patreon as well, and you'll get access to all the same content. So the point, though, is imagine, let's prepare for it now so that you've thought about it, so by the time it happens, you know what you're going to do. Ethereum at some point is probably going to reach a level where you get uncomfortable. And you're maybe it's already happened. Maybe it's already happened because maybe you converted all your Bitcoin to Ethereum over here because you said, you know what, I'm going to throw risk out the window and double down on Ethereum for better or for worse. And so far, it worked out. So far, it would have worked out. Now, the question is, when do you go back, right? When do you go back the other way? And one option, again, is to just DCA the move, right? Because you don't, in the same manner that I was converting Bitcoin to Ethereum here, I could have been doing it here, here, and here, right? You simply do not know exactly where the peak is. So the point is, imagine this is what Ether does against Bitcoin. I don't know what it's going to do, but imagine this is what it does. Actually, it's probably not going to go. If it did, let's keep it constrained to, say, March. And then let's say it comes back down. The problem is you don't know where this peak is. And so the idea is if you started to DCA at some point from Ethereum back to Bitcoin, maybe you do it here and then here and then here and then on the way back down and then in the same manner that we did it over here for 2 months, right? Where you just systematically do it. You don't go all in or all out. You just slowly shift back to the other asset. So it depends on what your goals are, right? It depends on, and maybe also depends on what you think is going to happen in the market. If your goal is just to accumulate more Bitcoin, then you could just simply convert back to Bitcoin, and whether Bitcoin goes up or down, whenever it goes up or down, you'll likely be happy you converted. Or if you think the market is due for a major short-term pullback, you could just go to USD and at that point maybe go earn interest on your stablecoin somewhere or put it somewhere else for a while, and then when the market cools back down, you come back in and you rinse and repeat the cycle as many times as you can. In the same way you could have done it over here, maybe in here, and even here in the short term. Maybe we get another opportunity over here to do it. I don't know. We don't know yet. We're barely into 2021. We don't know what's going to happen. Let's look at our house. Again, exactly as I predicted. We would not go into the house. We didn't go into the house yesterday either. So and it's funny because when I drew the house, I was like, okay, well maybe it'll bounce off the roof. Nope, it did a short-term dump to avoid it into the garage, back into where the ocean is. Yeah, we're just looking at our house TA. But maybe we should draw another house. Remember yesterday we ended up coming up through the pool. Remember to subscribe. Let's go for 105,000 subscribers. Let's see what we're at. We're already at 105,000. Let's go for 106,000. Let me just check a couple things really quick. All right. Do I find some of the comments painful to read? I don't read all of them. They go by too quickly for me to read all of them. I will remind you, we have a Telegram channel. Over 14,000 people. Just posted it. By the way, we have a lot of other Telegram channels too. And I'm just gonna post them here in case you guys want to join them. We try to keep them all fairly well moderated. We have Into the Cryptocosm. So the first one I posted is Into the Cryptoverse. We have Into the Cryptocosm. If you want to go talk about microcaps that I'm not going to go talk about, you go talk about them over there. Okay, Into the Cryptocosm. We also have, for those who are interested, we have Into the Equityverse. So we also talk about equities, especially with everything going on with GameStop. Might as well have an outlet for that. So you can join Into the Equityverse as well. I posted that in the comments too. All right, Ethereum's back at 1600. Maybe we're going to go through the front door. Look at that. Right, look at it knocking on the door. Are we going through the roof? Should we draw like a little? Well, I should probably draw it a little higher. Can we go through the chimney? Maybe I should have drawn it a little bit further to the left. This would be, yeah. This is still 10 minutes from now. Maybe I should have drawn it a little bit further over here. We'll see what happens. So how's everyone doing today? Anyone have any questions about the markets or anything? What do I think about the credibility of on-chain analysis? We've done some on-chain analysis on this channel. I mean, I think in the short term, it's mostly garbage, but like any type of TA. But over the macro, like when you're looking at long-term time frames, it's probably I think it's useful. I did not sleep that much last night. Maybe I can sleep in the bear market, but it's hard to sleep a lot in the bull market. Glad to see you signing up to the premium list, Brandon. Hopefully you like it. What do you get it? Okay. I mean, it depends. I'll show you guys a couple things that come with it, I guess. Let's see. This one? No. So this is, I'll just show you guys, this is an example, like this is an example of a newsletter. So this is like the premium list stuff. Like here's one example, it's like this one was on the Bitcoin dominance where we saw it was approaching our macro level upper trend line here. The implication being that we should be getting into an alt season soon, which is what we have, what happened. We even color code it based on whether Bitcoin's above our prior all-time high, below it, or if it's above or below the 20-week moving average, and then you can always see the risk levels for all the different coins. and whatnot. So that's one example of the premium list. It also comes with a video, like a weekly video that we talk about. You also get access to an alerts channel where I post stuff on the markets. And also you get access to a risk dashboard. I'll just post a screenshot. I'll take a snip of it so you can see what it looks like. How about that? Now you can see it. I'm only going to do part of it though. All right, here's just a brief look at the risk dashboard. This is only part of it. I obviously I cut off a lot of it, but it basically just shows you, like, the total crypto market capitalization risk, the dollar risk, the Bitcoin risk adjusted for the money supply, the Bitcoin risk not adjusted for the money supply, the Ethereum risk against Bitcoin, the link risk against USD, the link risk against Bitcoin, the link risk against Ethereum, the ADA risk against USD, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, and so on and so forth. So that's generally what it sort of looks like. But there's obviously more coins. You also get access to the alerts channel in Telegram, where I post fairly frequent updates. Yesterday I went on a rant about stocks, actually, and I talk about some of the ETFs I'm DCAing into or going to be DCAing into with some crypto profits. The idea, generally speaking, is like, what if you don't have to ride the crypto wave down? Like, what if you could take some profits, skim some profits off the top, and that's not to say that crypto can't go up, but just reduce your risk, man. Right? Reduce your risk. I mean, like, if you put a lot in crypto and you're up like 30x, you could take some off the table and still leave a lot on the table in crypto, right? And just take some off the table, put it in something not as risky, and then let the rest of the crypto ride. That way, if crypto does dump, at least you can look back and say, well, hey, at least I took profits and put it in something else. So we talk about that. Cup and handle projecting a $40 top. A $40 top for what? Yeah. Someone says he bought Doge as a joke a long time ago, made 30x off it recently, rotated into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin pumped 20%. This is the idea, right? Doge can pump, and we've seen it pump 2,000 to 2,500%, what, 3 times? We're gonna do a quick segue to it because I want to show you guys something here. I don't own Doge, so let's just make that clear. But you have to look at this. And we made a video on it, right? A 2,500% move, a 2,600% move or so. I mean, from here to the top, another 2,600% move, right? We've seen this type of stuff before. When it happens, if you get, oh, well, what if it keeps going up? Who cares, right? I mean, like 2,500%, right? I would just take my profits and run if it's on a coin like Doge. It's just a meme coin. It's going to pump and then it's going to dump. That's what it does. Don't marry an altcoin. I would say if you get the profits, if you get something like Doge going up 2,500% in like a week, call it a day, right? Call it a day. Yeah, I plan to keep doing this for a long time. I'm doing this full time now. Yeah, I mean, I get that Tezos is above $3, but I mean, while it's gone from $2 to $3, Ethereum went from, 200 to 1600. So, I mean, so again, it's about opportunity cost. Bitcoin is back above 37. Ethereum is still around 16. I don't really have time for one-on-one stuff, unfortunately. Yeah, for taxes, I would say, I mean, personally, I have an accountant. It looks like Ethereum missed our chimney. We actually had a wick to it. It got rejected by the chimney. You see that wick? Here? Rejected by the chimney. Maybe they filled the chimney in. Maybe they didn't put like a maybe it's not like an open roof. Maybe it got filled in by brick or something and that's why it got rejected. It's the only thing I can think of. Yeah, as someone said, I should have drawn smoke out of the chimney to show that it was a viable path for Ethereum. Showing that it was open, but I guess it was closed. Make sure you guys subscribe. Like the video. Hit the like button. And again, if you guys do want to join the premium list, remember we have the sale, alt season sale. I don't know how long it's going to last exactly, but I'll post it in the comments. You can also find it in the description below. And you get access to all the stuff I just showed you. Let's see. So DOT's still at 19. ADA's below 44 cents. Link's below 25. Bitcoin volatility needs to calm down. Is what needs to happen. I mean, obviously, one potential thing that could happen is Bitcoin just stills the show and starts moving, and then altcoins sit still for a while. That's a possibility too. We cannot discount that possibility. Well, what else do you guys want to talk about? We've kind of rambled on here for over an hour. I mean, we witnessed the $1,600 Ethereum, so at least we got that one in the books, and we can take a breather until we get to 17. I mean, maybe we'll do this tomorrow at 17. Does that sound like a plan? That'd be nice. Usher into 1700 Ethereum tomorrow. It ain't much, but it's honest work. No, you have to pay your taxes. You have to pay your taxes. I don't really talk about the news that much, Kevin. I mean, it's one of those things that obviously there'd be a lot of content there, right? If I wanted to start talking about the news, I could pull up the headlines and just read off the headlines, um, and maybe some people would like that. But again, as I've said before, there are a lot of other YouTube channels that already cover the news, and in addition to these channels already covering the news, I feel like the news is already baked into the price anyways. Like I would just make a video like, this just in, Ethereum breaks $1,600, right? I mean, that's ultimately all I really care about. I really don't care about the news. As I've said before, in bull markets, people just don't care about the bad news, and in bear markets, people just don't care about the good news. So it's somewhat biased because in bear markets, people are just like, oh, like all this good news, no one cares about it. In the bull market, no matter what FUD or whatever comes out, people just kind of look the other way. Um, so I just think the news is somewhat useless from a price management perspective. From like an entertainment perspective and just knowing what's fundamentally going on in the space, of course it's useful, but that's just not the purpose of this channel. But there are other channels that cover that stuff, and I think they're useful, but it's just not the focus of this channel. These are exciting times. We'll see how many more weeks this stuff can go on. Hopefully a few more. I mean, hopefully it can last through February, but we'll see. Make sure you subscribe. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. Click the bell. Someone says he's new and he wants me to go over the Ethereum chart I have up. I feel like the chat can probably explain our house TA. Cobra says he's not making the rookie mistake of leaving the chimney damper are closed. I guess he's leaving it open. Yeah, I guess I made a rookie mistake leaving it closed. We the price was able to avoid the house over here. It came into both stilts of our beach house. It came in through the front door, got rejected by the chimney, and then squeezed between the house and the pool to start moving back up. You see, you can explain anything with some lines on a chart. You don't need a cup and handle or a head and shoulders pattern to try to explain things. You can literally explain stuff with just drawing random squiggles on the chart. At least in the short term. We're talking about short-term moves. The moon is missing in my painting. I need to draw it. Well, I don't know where it would be. I'm guessing at this point maybe we would say it's at 1700. Maybe like up here. We'll draw it. We'll draw it over here. That's a funny looking moon. Oh, we could have just drawn the whole thing, I guess, but there's our moon. Ether Bitcoin is still at the top of this right here, so it hasn't really moved off this line, so it's an area for us to watch. These were the prior open and the prior close of the last two weekly candles. Yeah, Bitcoin is moving again, so it's at 37.2. We're slowly moving up to that wick we went up to a few days ago. We went up to around 38,680 or so. So we're about $1,400 away from that wick. Yeah, I'm not really active on Facebook, so I don't know why you're messaging on Facebook. Looks like XRP flips dot again. They're battling back and forth now. Litecoin is above Link as well. Well, should we call it? What else are we going to do? Let's keep an eye on Bitcoin because it is moving. Let's go to the 1 minute chart for Bitcoin. So yeah, it's moving pretty quickly. I think maybe we should wrap it up. I mean, I don't want to stay on stream all day. Looks like Ethereum does not want to go into the water, the pool that we drew. I'll just keep. I'll stay on stream for a few more minutes to see if this Ethereum if this trend right here continues, and we'll see if this trend continues. If this trend continues, then I'll keep staying on and see what happens. All right. I think we might call it. I mean, I'll probably end up making a video and just publishing another one. I just don't want to stay on stream all day, so I can do some other things. Make sure you guys subscribe. Give the video a thumbs up. Again, we do have the premium list. You can check out the sale in the description below or the comments. And we also do have the Telegram channel with over 14,000 people. I'll post that one. And remember, there's a few other ones as well. There's also Into the Equityverse if you guys want to talk about equities. If you guys are into that sort of thing. And there's also Into the Crypto Cosm. So I will post that one too. For microcaps. Alright, I think we'll call it there. Subscribe. Let's go for 106,000 subscribers. Give the video a thumbs up. Thank you guys for tuning in.